So now that we've got our FBXs, we can now bring those into InfraWorks in one of two ways. First off is through just connecting to it as a data source. The other is connecting to it as a style. So let's take a look at those two methods. First off, I'm going to go to my eye and I'm going to tell it I want to create, manage my model. I'm going to go to my data sources. So here underneath the data file sources, I'm going to go to 3D model. And that's going to open up a dialog box saying, okay, what's your 3D models? You can see there's a handful of different types here. FBX is one of them. So I'm going to go to the T space. That's where I have mine. My T drive is where I have my bus stop saved, my FBX saved. I'll go ahead and say open. So it's going to connect to the data source and list it here. But if you've ever done anything in InfraWorks or connected any data sources, you know that lots of times it brings it in but doesn't fully configure it. So I'll have to configure that through a right click and saying configure. And I'm going to tell it that it's city furniture. And as you can see here, it says it's coordinate systems XY in meters because how we saved it. It doesn't have a geolocation. That should make some sense because we designed it in Fusion and not in something else. So I'm going to go ahead and say interactive placing. So as you can see, it's got my bus stop shelter here waiting for me to click and place it. So I'll find a place that looks good. Double click to drop it. And in this dialog box, I can shrink it down enough. I can say close and refresh, and it will place it. Now, I didn't get a whole lot of chance to fine-tune my location. I could have given it a degree of rotation or whatever, but no big deal. I can always click on here, rotate it, and move it however I need to otherwise after I have it placed. So now I've got that. I can kind of just click off of that, and now it's placed. Same thing holds true for the bench. If I go to 3D model, I can pick up the bench, say open. There's the bench showing up. Configure. And I'll say it's city furniture. Use the interactive placing. I'm going to click it right about there. Close and refresh. There, and I can now rotate this a little bit as well. There's also a way to connect to an FBX via style. So underneath our create and manage your model menu, I have the style palette. And the style palette gives us access to all kinds of elements in our design. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to the 3D model tab. Here's our 3D model, and I can tell it I can create a new style catalog inside of this category. So I'm going to go ahead and say that, click on that. It's going to ask for a new name, and I'll say custom models. So once I've named that, I can go inside of that category or that catalog and tell it I want to create a new style inside of there. So it's going to ask for a model. I'll connect it to my bench as before. And this is the method that why setting the model unit to meters first seems to work best. This is the one scenario where if I had forgot to change it over, I'd have to put in the conversion factor between inches and meters. But in any event, we've got this set up. It looks pretty good. I'll go ahead and say OK. So now it's available there. I'll call it concept bench. So now how do I go about placing that? Well, I'd place it like I'd place any other entity. Going into the create, go to the city furniture, and then here I can do a filter or a search for concept. There's my concept bench. And let's say I want to place one over here. And then I can click on it and rotate it whichever direction I want. And there we go. Just a side note that may be important at some point is, let's say you've created a catalog here that you want to be able to bring into multiple different projects. The way that would work is you'd end up using this export that would end up saving a JSON file wherever you decide to put that. I can even throw it to my desktop here. And then at that point, once I open up another model, I can use this import and it will bring in that JSON and should bring all the styles along with it.